Hello, I'm Jordan, and welcome back to the Hidden Cup. Today I'm going to tell you about two recent tarot readings that I did for myself using the Haindl tarot that are in the process of having a major impact on my spiritual development in ways that I'm still sorting out. Last week I did a 3-card pull that yielded the Son of Stones reversed, Chief Seattle, the Four of Stones reversed, and the Son of Cups Parsival upright. And typically I take a card by card approach to readings, looking at each card individually and analyzing or intuiting what it means to me based on position, etc., in response to the question I asked. But in this instance, I really was struck by all 3 cards being a cohesive message. And for the first time, I didn't even really feel called to analyze the cards from an intellectual basis because they just struck me so powerfully on a intuitive, on an emotional, on a spiritual level. It was almost like the cards were vibrating. As I looked down at them, I was just like, whoa, something very powerful is happening here. And a few things for context. The Four of Stones depicts 4 stones arrayed in kind of a triangle shape in front of the base of a large tree. In the accompanying book, that tree is connected with Yggdrasil, the tree of life in the Nordic tradition. So seeing both that card and Chief Seattle, which I've come to kind of connect a little bit with on a personal level, seeing both of those cards reversed was very striking to me because it called to mind Odin hanging from the Tree of Life to collect the runes. And according to many or most traditions, he hung upside down. Because that was the only way he could pluck the runes from the well at the conclusion of his sacrifice. So that drew some parallels to me for the Hanged Man, which is also in the Haindl deck connected with Odin. The presence of Parsival, and in this deck the Son of Cups is holding a large chalice, which in this instance is equated with the Holy Grail. The Grail, of course, represents inner light, spiritual mastery, union with the divine, a lot of different things depending on the exact tradition that you're working with. So taken together, those 3 images just spoke to me in a very, very profound and very powerful way. I have been working towards what I have called a tower moment for the past 18 months. The first 10-card spread I did for myself when I returned to the tarot in around January of 2025 gave the tower as the eventual outcome, where things were headed. And I view this as a positive development because at that time I really did want to dismantle the external structures of my life, transition into a more spiritually grounded mode of existence. So I really was aiming to tear down the tower and replace it with something else. And with that in mind, I have continued towards that goal for the past 14 months. And that spread that I pulled last week really did seem like it was hinting that I'm headed in that direction, that something's shifting, that a big internal change is in the process of occurring, and something is about to become unstuck, open up, blossom. I'm not quite sure exactly what yet, what form it's going to take, but the message I took away from that reading was that that moment of surrender is approaching, when I will finally manage to let go of the shields I'm still hanging on to, the structures I've still wrapped around my spiritual core that I am desperately trying to get rid of. I'm going to finally feel that release, and the light is going to start shining again in a way that has not yet happened. I'm seeing more glimpses of it, is starting to break through, but that kind of comprehensive inner radiance that is so crucial for continuing on this path long term has not yet come to be. But I feel like I'm getting there, and the steps I've been taking, especially recently, may finally be helping me push through that barrier. I did another tarot reading last night, which spoke to similar themes, also using the Haindl tarot. And in this instance, again, I kind of did a little bit of a deviation from my routine. I have not been really trusting myself to see any sort of synchronicity when I poorly shuffle and cards pop out. I have been, I think, rightfully acknowledging that I'm not having enough deliberation with how I hold the cards and focusing on shuffling them properly. But I've really tried to focus on doing that, on shuffling correctly, on maintaining control. And yesterday, for the first time, when 2 cards popped out, I went to put them back in, and then I caught myself. I said, wait, this feels different. So I turned them over, and what do I see but the Tower? Wow. And the card beneath it that had also popped out, the Ace of Cups, which in the Haindl deck is the Grail. So we have, again, this time a specific callback for the Tower. And whereas in my previous reading, the Grail was featured on a different card being held by Parzival, the Son of Cups, in this instance, I received the Grail itself. So I set down the deck and then drew a final card to round out the 3-card spread, and it was the Hermit. And given the placement of the cards, I see that he is looking directly at the Grail. The Tower, on the other side of the Grail, has a symbol in the upper right-hand corner, a rune, which Haindl includes runes on all of the majors in his deck. And I'll admit that I have not yet launched a study of the runes, so I do not intuitively recognize them. But this one was a symbol of an upside-down broken cross, which looks sort of like, to me, a man with his arms up except face down. So again, I see a callback to the Hanged Man, the card not actually appearing, but being hinted at very strongly. Also, the Ace of Cups, the Holy Grail, features the large golden goblet with the water of life, and you see a single drop of blood falling into it. The placement of the rune of what I'm calling the Hanged Man and the drop of blood, to me, kind of merged together, and I had a sense of a man leaping headfirst from the Tower and into the Cup of Life, into the Holy Grail. And for me, I think that is what the Tower moment is supposed to represent. Me taking that leap of faith away from the intellectual structures, the sense of solid world that I've allowed myself to become accustomed to, and just simply dive headfirst into life, into the spiritual, into the presence of God, into my inner light. And it's something that's difficult to do consciously. It's something that I feel like there is a part of me that's still holding back from that. There's a bit of an anxiety, a fear of letting go, an uncertainty about what comes next. And frankly, just I don't know how to do it. Well, that's not entirely true. I'll admit I do. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm supposed to do next. I've been a little bit nervous about it because it's been many years, but I had a very productive hippie stage in college, and I did communicate with various plant teachers, and there is one that has been, for a long time, very close to my heart. And I have not had a proper experience with that teacher in many years. I've dabbled, I've dipped my toes, but I have not actually dove in head first. And I do feel like, both in this instance and in a previous reading that was a bit more direct, the cards have been telling me that it's time, that I have spent a period building up a new mental toolbox, learning concepts that I'm going to need, developing a relationship with the tarot that enables me to work with them in a more productive way than I ever have before. And it's time to integrate. It's time to break open the head. It's time to allow what has been gestating in my heart to emerge from its chrysalis and spread its wings and fly. And that's something I can't do on my own. It's something that I do think I'm going to need help on, and I acknowledge that it is time, but again, there's a part of me that's afraid. There is that fear of ego death. There is that just that resistance to the unknown, and even though I have genuinely never had a negative experience with this teacher in my entire life, I still feel anxiety, I still feel trepidation, I still feel uncertainty, but I also know it's my next step. So I guess that's where I am now. I think I am on the verge of leaping from the tower and diving into the Grail once more, and hopefully I will be able to motivate myself to cross that threshold sometime in the very near future, and we'll see what it yields. But in any case, whether that is going to be the catalyst or whether there are other external factors or internal factors that I do not yet anticipate, change is coming. Something big is coming, and I think the message of the card is that something big is coming for me. That the shift I've been waiting for is on the verge of occurring, and I may be about to move on to the next step. So I look forward to seeing what form that takes and what lessons I'll learn along the way, and I will of course keep you updated about anything that occurs in my journey, because it's been nice having a place where I can share this with other interested people. So I will keep you updated, and I welcome any thoughts or feedback or suggestions you have. Feel free to comment, and thank you for watching.